Okay, so let's start lesson one. Lesson one is a create infrastructure overview. This class is a real application cluster admin training, but we need a little bit of a background on grid infrastructure. The reason is RAC database, an application that is running out of a clustered environment, especially Oracle cluster. So we will have to understand how your application is managed in Oracle cluster and what are the components of Oracle cluster. So we need to know a little bit about Oracle clusterware, and also we will have to understand underlying storage as well in the very high level. Okay, so from lesson one we will discuss the combination of clusterware and also ASM in the high level. And here are the objectives. After completing this lesson, you should be able to understand principles and purposes of the cluster. And also, it's a good idea to understand Oracle clusterware architecture as well. It's quite complicated, but I will give you some simple way to understand. And also, what is create, plug, and play? And it is an easy way to add a new server and also easy way to remove a server from the cluster. Okay, because of this capability in Oracle cluster, we can manage Oracle real application cluster in a simple way as well if your database is a policy managed database. So I will introduce differences between traditional way to manage RAC database and also policy-based RAC database in the later lessons. And because of the length of this lesson, I don't want to cover entire topics. Instead, I will split this lesson into possibly 3 sections. And I will actually cover the segment of each topic from this lesson. So first section is an overview. What is a cluster? Cluster is a group of independent servers. And all these servers are interconnected. So from user point of view, and user connect to this system as if it is a single system. And also underlying storage is a shared storage. To be able to create Oracle cluster, you will have to configure shared storage because Oracle cluster leverages shared everything architecture. Okay, so what is the benefit of this cluster? By grouping independent servers as one, as a single system, from user point of view, user can connect to any one of the servers to do different kind of works. And also, if a connected server goes down, then it's also possible to fail over to another server in the same cluster. And also, it's possible to add additional servers to support more transactions and more users as a part of scalability. And also, balancing load and connecting to server that is least loaded, it's also possible. So workload management is also possible in the clustered environment. But the cluster itself is a system and hardware perspective. Now, I want to manage applications running out of in each server in the cluster. So we need a software portion as well. And this software is called clusterware. And in order to create a cluster, you will have to install a software that makes your application as a resource of a cluster. And also this clusterware monitors the status of each the resource or application. When needed, it provides high availability. When needed, it's possible to relocate a resource from one server to another server. And also it maintains integrity of a cluster as well. So this software portion is very, very important. So we install Oracle Clusterware in the servers of a cluster. Now, does Oracle have Oracle version of a Clusterware? Absolutely. That's Oracle Clusterware. Now, Oracle Clusterware is a part of a software called Oracle Grid Infrastructure. And what I'm going to do, I will briefly summarize Oracle Grid Infrastructure, and I will get back to this slide to give you more information. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm in the class note. What is Oracle Grid Infrastructure? So I will actually move this a little up and make this a little bigger. And Oracle Grid Infrastructure software. And this is the name of a software. If you want to create Oracle cluster, you will have to download Oracle Grid Infrastructure. And it has two main products in it. So when you install Oracle Grid Infrastructure, and you are able to leverage the features of the two products. So what are these? The first thing is Oracle Clusterware. I will use a short name. CW stands for Clusterware. And this Clusterware, it provides a high availability solution. Okay? So by installing Oracle Grid Infrastructure software, you are able to install Oracle Clusterware product. It was in part of it was independent software stack, but starting with Oracle version 11.2, we made Oracle Clusterware as a part of a grid infrastructure because of a very good reason. And another product is Oracle ASM. And ASM is Oracle Automatic Storage Management. Okay? So this Oracle ASM, it provides a shared storage solution. Okay? One of the benefits of bringing Oracle ASM product and component into the Oracle Grid Infrastructure software is Oracle Clusterware can leverage Oracle ASM storage. Prior to 11.2, many customers had to prepare storage for Oracle Clusterware. Especially in Oracle Clusterware, it has a very important component. One is floating disk file. And this floating disk file is a very important file. It is used for node membership. Okay? And also, it is used as a secondary communication method in Oracle Cluster. And this must be in the shared storage. And another file is OCR file, Oracle Cluster Registry. And we use this file for Clusterware resource management. And this is another important file. To create floating disk, to create OCR file, we had to prepare separate the shared storage like OCFS2 and raw device in older version. But we don't have to anymore. The reason is now we have ASM storage. So we are able to create floating disk and also OCR directly in the ASM storage. That's a beauty. So you don't have to prepare separate storage. And also, when you get into Oracle ASM area, and it has many components. And I will actually address this area one more time at the end of this lesson. And Oracle ASM, it has many components. The first component of Oracle ASM is ASM instance. And we use it as a logical volume manager for ASM storage. And also, if an ASM instance up and running, it's possible to create ASM disk group. It's kind of a volume group. It groups set of volumes in ASM context. It groups set of ASM disks. Okay? And also, once you create ASM disk group, then the file system is created. And there are two different types of file systems. The first file system is ASM. It's a native file system. And we originally, ASM file system was designed to store Oracle database. Okay? And even at this point, we use ASM as a database storage. And there is another file system called ACFS. Originally, it was designed to store non-Oracle database files. As time goes on, we added a lot of good features of ACFS. So now we can create database even in ACFS as well. And to take advantage of many features like security feature and also tagging feature and also snapshot feature. There are many good features. So I will briefly address this area one more time at the end of this lesson. So as you can see, we do have Oracle Grid Infrastructure. It is composed of Oracle Clusterware and also ASM. And Oracle Clusterware takes advantage of Oracle ASM to store floating disk and also OCR. So you don't have to prepare the separate shared storage for Oracle Clusterware. So let's come back. So here we have actually a summary. Clusterware is a part of Grid Infrastructure. That's what I mentioned. And it is integrated with the Oracle ASM. Thus, Oracle Clusterware can take advantage of ASM storage. And also, you can create ACFS on top of ASM storage. And also, we use it for many different purposes. And RAG database, it doesn't require Oracle Clusterware. That is a requirement because RAG requires clustered embodiment, especially Oracle Cluster. To create Oracle Cluster, you must install Oracle Clusterware. As you can see, by installing one software product, which is a Grid Infrastructure, all these components are available and integrated. And one thing what we have to know, Oracle Clusterware, it is Clusterware that provides high availability and also management function for the resources running in the cluster. Especially RAG is one of the applications running out of a cluster. But RAG is not the only application that can be protected by Oracle Clusterware. You can also register third-party vendor applications in the same cluster, or you can actually register Oracle-owned applications as a resource of a Clusterware. So we can use Oracle Clusterware not only for Oracle-based application, but also non-Oracle-based application. That's what we will have to understand. So let's move on. Okay, so Oracle Flex Cluster. Oracle Flex Cluster in one of a possible Clusterware deployment option. Okay, and Oracle Flex Cluster, it was introduced in Oracle version 12. And prior to Oracle version 12, and we had only this portion, this area. Okay? And this is in the Oracle cluster. And in this location, we could create maybe 2-node RAG database here and another 3-node RAG database here. So we could create Oracle database in this environment. Okay? In 12c embodiment, by installing Oracle ClusterWare with the Flex Cluster option, you can bring application tier into Oracle ClusterWare, Oracle Cluster. And these are all app tier servers. And these are all app tier servers. I can change the color. Let me see if I can make it different. So this is all app tier server, and this is all app tier server. And the app tier servers are not interconnected. These are not interconnected. However, each app tier server connected to one of the database servers. Now, this architecture provides many good features. First of all, we can create very large cluster. According to document, we can with this architecture we can create up to 2,000 node cluster. But that's not a really good benefit of this architecture. And using using my class node, I will actually touch this area in a little bit. The one thing what we should know in this architecture, let's see in a terminology. Here we have clustered the servers, and these are the servers where databases can be up and running. Okay, and these servers must have a direct access to underlying storage, this area. Okay. However, app tier server doesn't have to access to share the storage. So all these database servers called hub node, and also app tier servers called leaf node. Okay. So when you install Oracle ClusterWare, you provide the option. Okay, I want to install Oracle ClusterWare with a Flex Cluster option. Now, let's take a look at a little bit of a benefit. Okay, so this is a Flex Cluster diagram. And I made one simple example. In this simple example, I have a host 1, host 2, and host 3. And these are 3 node cluster. Okay? And all 3 servers have a direct access to underlying ASM storage. Now with the Flex architecture, we can also bring app tier server as a member of the same cluster, another app tier server as a member of a cluster, another app tier server as a member of a cluster. So as you can see, we have leaf node and we have a hub node. So we have 2 different layers in the same Flex cluster. The benefit is we can consolidate application tier servers with the database tier servers. By doing so, we can make application highly available. Think about that. I have applications running out of this server. But this wasn't part of cluster. So if there is any problem with this server, then my application goes down, unless you have a middleware level high availability solution. However, what if you bring this server as a member of the same Oracle cluster? By doing so, if this application goes down, then possibly you can fail this over to another application server or another application server. So you can actually provide high availability to application by using Oracle ClusterWare solution. So you can actually take advantage of this. So I can actually summarize here. So what I can do, let me actually write down. And I have app tier server plus DB tier server. So I will actually combine this together. So what is the benefit? Benefit is very clear. Your application can take advantage of your ClusterWare feature. That's one thing. Another one is you can define dependencies here. Dependency. What kind of a dependency? So I will make this scenario. I have a 3-node rack database. In host 1, I have instance 1 is running. host shader 2, I have a second instance is running. Host shader 3, I have a third instance is running. Okay, so I have a 3-node rack database. And suppose that, okay, so I have a small crash. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to restart. And I will come back. Okay, so in this example, we can actually define dependencies. You have an application running here, and your application is connecting to one of the 3 instances. So you have an application here, okay? So somehow you have this server crash. If there isn't any server crash, then it will affect instance running out of host shader 2. And later on, all users that is connecting to Oracle database by going through this application will get affected. So what we're going to do is, we can make dependency. Okay, so in order to start this application, so we stop this application and restart this application. At the time when we restart this application, I want to make this instance available as a requirement. So what you can do, you can make dependency between application and database. If you learn Oracle Clusterware and how to implement this dependency, this will be covered. And also, another nice feature is a highly available NFS. One of the nice features of Oracle ASM is ACFS. So we have ACFS. So we can actually create an ACFS file system here. And then ACFS file system, it can be mounted to host shader 1. It can be mounted to host shader 3. And eventually, ACFS file system is available to Oracle database servers. But suppose that we want to use this ACFS file system for application. If that is the case, I should be able to export this ACFS file system to the remote server over NFS. So I should be able to export ACFS to remote server. Now suppose that you have a host shader 3 problem. If that is the case, export ACFS service to application is not available because my server goes down. Now, because of this region, if one server goes down, and we can actually use HANFS to provide a continuous NFS service. Now, this is available by using HANFS export service and also HANFS VIP address. So with the HANFS feature, we can make NFS highly available. So unlike the vendor's NFS file system strategy, with a Flex cluster, you can create ACFS file system in the ASM storage, and we can export it to application tier server. And if a file server, let's say database server, works as a file server, if it goes down, then it's possible to fail service, HANFS service over to another database server as a file server to provide continuous service to application tier server, which is called the leaf node. Okay, so that is actually the example of a Flex cluster. And we have one more thing, starting with 12.2. Starting with the 12.2, it's possible to deploy database instances in the leaf node as well. So you can easily separate workload. So in the hub node, you focus on OLTP transactions. In the leaf node, you focus on maybe IO-intensive operations. So when you configure in-memory parallelism, parallelism in the leaf node area, okay? So you can actually cache the large amount of data that are processed directly in SGA memory space, and we can use it for subsequent operation as well. So as you can see, flex cluster is not to make your cluster bigger up to 2,000 nodes. And there are many nice features of a flex cluster. Okay, so at least you can think about this way. So I'm going to go back to slide. Move this a little bit in this hand, and then let's make this a little bigger now. Okay, so that's what I explained. So let's move on. Cluster configuration options. Starting with the 12.2, when you install Oracle Clusterware using OUI, you will see a new configuration options available. Now, let's take a look at first one, Oracle Standalone Cluster. Oracle Standalone Cluster is different from Oracle Standard Cluster that was in 12.1. Starting with 12.2, all Oracle clusters are flex mode. So Oracle Standalone Cluster is also flex cluster. So at this point, you can think about this way. This one is to create flex cluster. But there are small changes compared to 12.1. And if you choose this option, you can also create extended cluster as an option. So for example, I want to create very large cluster and in multi-site. So if you want to create a multi-site cluster, and in the old version, we had to use a manual way to create extended cluster. We used to call stretch cluster. But starting with the 12.2, OUI itself support creation of extended cluster. And to create Oracle extended cluster, you must choose Oracle standalone cluster. So you can either create standalone cluster, which is a flex cluster, or you can create multi-site cluster. Then you have to choose Oracle standalone cluster plus Oracle extended cluster. Now here we have another configuration option, Oracle Domain Services Cluster. And this is a cluster to support many of the member clusters. So in your environment, you have a many number of clusters that must be managed. That means each cluster must have its own storage for cluster health monitor statistics, and also tracing information must be stored. And many of the separate storage must be configured in each dedicated cluster. But you may want to group all your clusters together to create a private database as a service cloud. Then you can use you can create Oracle Domain Services Cluster. So you create Oracle Cluster Domain that consists of one or more clusters. And then we share same resources by going through Oracle Domain Services Cluster. So that's in a new configuration option. So if you want to use Oracle Domain Services Cluster, you must create Domain Services Cluster first because it provides shared resources. And then you register member clusters. You create member cluster for database, member cluster for application. And all your member clusters will leverage or can leverage shared resources in the Oracle Domain Clusters Services Cluster. So that's in a cluster configuration option. Okay, so we also have a clusterware architecture and cluster services. And once you install the Oracle clusterware, then you can leverage these many services from cluster management to cluster interconnect link aggregation. Okay, so I will actually use whiteboard note. So let's take a look at this. This is an example of 3-node cluster. Okay, so once you install the Oracle clusterware, in this example, we install the clusterware here, and we install the clusterware here, and we install the clusterware here. And once you install clusterware to create 3-node cluster, so what are the services available? Okay, a few things. The first thing is node membership is possible. Node membership service. Okay, so node membership service is possible, and all 3 servers must keep the same information. So keeping integrity of a cluster is very important. Because of that, Oracle uses CSS daemon process plus voting disk file. I'm using a short name, voting disk file, to keep node membership. Now another one is we also have clusterware resource management. That's another nice service. So, suppose that you have one application running out of this, but this application got affected by system crash, or physical RAM issue, or underlying storage issue. There could be many reasons. If that is the case, based on clusterware resource management, it's possible to provide high availability and also restarting failed service and resource in the same server. So there are many features available. So for this purpose, we are using CRS daemon process. It monitors resource availability. And then by using information in the OCR, Oracle Cluster Registry, it's possible to restart or fail the problem resource to another server. It is possible. And another nice service is notification service. So if something goes wrong in the cluster, your application should be able to understand underlying cluster structure changes as quickly as possible. To do so, what happens is clusterware, it uses notification method, especially a fast application notification. Okay, CRS daemon process detect resource failure, and also it notify application about this changes, status changes. So fast notification is also available. And another nice service is time synchronization service. That's also possible. Now think about that. You have 3 different servers, and the system time on first node is 10:01, and the second server is 10:05, and the third server at 10:08, for example. So you have a different system times across 3 servers. Now, at some point, you have a node eviction, meaning that one of the servers must be one of the servers had to be evicted, rebooted at time 10:01 at host 01. So we as administrator, we probably receive an email notification about this. Okay, so we have a problem server. What caused this problem? So we as administrator, we may want to look at clusterware log in host 01, host 02, and host 03. Okay, So we are looking at alert log at host 01 based on 10:01 timestamp. And we are looking at same information from host 02, host 03 as of 10:01. But look at this. We have a system time mismatch. So when you review alert at 10:01 at host 02, host 03, you're not going to get any meaningful information because system time is different. Because 10:01 and host 02 was normal, host 03 was normal. Because of this reason, Oracle recommended configuring NTP server. But what if NTP server goes down? Then we have a single point failure. Because of this reason, we use Oracle time synchronization, Oracle cluster time synchronization service daemon process. As a backup, this time synchronization service, it can check the system time and automatically synchronize if NTP is down. That's another nice service. And also we have a network-related service as well. In the Oracle cluster, there are two types of networks. One is public network, and the other one is private network. So these are two possible networks in the Oracle cluster. And Oracle Clusterware provides monitoring service of a public network and private network. Okay? So if a public network has some problem, then all dependent network resources are failed over to another server for temporary to detect node failure as quickly as possible. Okay? And also private network monitoring service is also available. And especially we are able to monitor private network by using HAIP, highly available IP address. And then we can use NIC bonding for private network traffic. We also provide load balancing and high availability at the private network area. So Clusterware provides those kind of services. Okay, so let's come back here. So as you can see, we have many of a Clusterware services. So once you installed Oracle Clusterware, you can leverage these many services. And features of Oracle Clusterware, by combining ASM and Clusterware, it's now much easier to install Oracle Clusterware and easy to manage. We still use Oracle Clusterware to create rack database. And there are many of ASM enhancements, so Oracle Clusterware can take advantage of it. And no additional Clusterware is required. No additional vendor Clusterware required to manage applications in Oracle Cluster environment. Okay, so I briefly introduced an overview of Oracle Clusterware and Clusterware services. That's first section.